7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Marketing and Introduction, 6th Canadian edition, copyright 2017 Pearson Canada Inc. And we're still on part 2, Understanding the Marketplace and Consumers. Chapter 6, Understanding Consumer and Business Buyer Behavior. So here are the learning objectives for Chapter 6. 1. Understand the consumer market and the major factors that influence consumer buyer behavior. 2. Identify and discuss the stages in the buyer decision process. 3. Describe the adoption and diffusion process for new products. 4. Define the business market and identify the major factors that influence business buyer behavior. And 5. List and define the steps in the business buying decision process. Consumer markets and buyer behavior. We have a big circle, which is consumer market. On the left, there is a box with an arrow going toward the circle, consumer market, and it says consumer behavior, individuals and households buying goods and services. And then there's another box on the bottom with an arrow going to the circle, consumer market, and it says goal, create marketing programs which trigger desired behavior. Consumer buyer behavior, we have characteristics affecting this. Consumer behavior, figure 6.2, factors that influence it. So on the left, we have cultural, which includes culture, subculture, and social class. Next, we have social, reference groups, family, roles, and status. Personal, age and life cycle stage, occupation, economic, situation and lifestyle, and personality and self-concept. Then we have another one that says psychological, motivation, perception, learning, beliefs, and attitudes. And the last box are buyer. So for buyer behavior on the cultural here, so culture, basic trigger of wants and behavior, deeply entrenched, but when changed, creates opportunity. For subculture, I think these are all three, right? Shared value systems within groups, regional demographic, ethnographic, and cultural marketing. Divisions, that is social subculture. So then social class, divisions based primarily on socioeconomic status. Combination of occupation, income, education, wealth, and other variables. Consumer buying behavior, we have social, reference groups, membership, reference, and aspirational groups vary in how they influence. Word of mouth, influence, and opinion leaders. Family, we have the household power brokers influencing the buying behavior. So we have parents and children. And then roles and status. We have role is expected activities, and status is esteem given to role by society. Personal factors, age and life cycle stage, needs for different products change. Occupation, job affects the products bought. Economic situation, personal finances affects buying choices. And lifestyle, people buy the lifestyles products and represent. And then personality and self-concept. Self-concept theory suggests possessions contribute to and reflect personal identities. Psychological factors. Motivation. Motive, a need requiring satisfaction. Perception is the process of interpreting information. Learning, behavioral change based on experience. Behaviors and attitudes, personal thoughts on subjects and evaluations thereof. So we have psychological factors, Maslow's hierarchy of needs in figure 6.3. On the bottom, we have physiological needs, hunger and thirst. Then going up the pyramid, we have safety needs, security and protection. Social needs, sense of belonging and love. Esteem needs, self-esteem, recognition, status. And at the top of the pyramid, self-actualization needs, self-development, and realization. So we have subliminal advertisements here. Exhibit 6.8. This classic ad from the American Association of Advertising Agencies pokes fun at subliminal advertising. So-called subliminal advertising simply doesn't exist, says the ad. Overactive imaginations, however, most certainly do. And then we have beliefs and attitudes. Exhibit 6.9. Attitudes and beliefs are difficult to change. The Vidalia Onion Committee's award-winning Ogres and Onions campaign made children believers and delighted their parents. Sales of bagged Vidalia onions shot up 30%. Check your understanding. The needy species. It is ironic that a non-marketer gave us one of the most important marketing concepts. Abraham Maslow developed the hierarchy of needs, asserting that as we fulfill the most pressing physical needs, we instinctively pursue the needs at 4 more increasingly personal levels. In some ways, the hierarchy runs parallel to our life cycle. A newborn needs only nutrition and rest, physiological. Shortly thereafter, he or she yearns for closeness to mom, safety, and so forth. Discuss and describe the level of needs that have been met with the inception of social media. Buyer decision process. 5 stages in the buyer decision process include 1. Need recognition. 2. Information search. 3. Evaluation of alternatives. 4. Purchase decision. And 5. Post-purchase behavior. 1. Need recognition triggered internally or externally. 2. Information search proceeds through a variety of sources: personal, commercial, public, and experiential sources. Exhibit 6.10. Need recognition can be triggered by advertising. Time for a snack. 3. Evaluation of alternatives depends on the buying situation and the consumer. 4. Purchase decision further influenced by attitudes of others, unexpected situational factors. 5. Post-purchase behavior hinges on buyers' expectations versus actual performance of product. Most major purchases result in cognitive dissonance. Exhibit 6.11. Post-purchase cognitive dissonance. No matter what choice they make, consumers feel at least some post-purchase dissonance for every decision. So the buyer decision process for new products. Stages in the adoption process. Consumer orientation. Awareness. And so the action, consumer action, becomes aware but lacks information. Interest. Seeks information about the product. Evaluation. Considers whether to try the product. Trial. Tries new product in small sample. Adoption. Decides to use the product regularly. So the adoption process, we have individuals adopt new products at varying rates, categorized by the following terms. So we have innovators, 2.5%, and so they adopt things quickly. Then we have the early adopters, 13.5%, the early mainstream, 34%, and late mainstream, 34%. So we have these are also called majority, early and late majority. And then we have the laggards, the lagging adopters, 16%. So that is the time of adoption of an innovation. So characteristics influencing rate of adoption. Relative advantage. Is it superior to existing products? Compatibility. Is the product aligned with the values of the market? Complexity. Is the product difficult to use? What is the degree of its difficulty? Divisibility. Is it integrated into regular use? And communicability. Hard word. Communicability. Benefits. Are they easily described? Business markets and business buyer behavior. Business to business. B2B. Buying behavior of firms that buy products to produce other products or to resell to others. B2B market is huge and involves far more dollars and items Then consumer markets. So business markets, market structure and demand, fewer but larger buyers. Demand is derived from consumers. Nature of the buying unit, more decision participants. Professional buying effort, types of decisions, more complex and formal decisions. Exhibit 6.13, derived demand. You can't buy anything directly from Gore, but to increase demand for Gore-Tex fabrics, the company markets directly to the buyers of outdoor apparel and other brands made from its fabrics. Both Gore and its partner brands here, the North Face, win. Business buyer behavior, figure 6.6, and here's a model for it. On the left, there's a big box column. It says the environment. So on the left, it says marketing stimuli, which includes product, price, place, and promotion. The other stimuli are economic, technological, political, cultural, and competitive. In the middle, there's a big box, and it says the buying organization with another little circle, the buying center. Oh, sorry, let's go back. The buying organization has organizational influences. Then the other inside circle, it says the buying center, interpersonal and individual influences. And then at the middle, we have buying decision process. And the far right, we have a box. It says buyer responses, which include product or service choice, supplier choice, order quantities, delivery terms and times, and service terms and payment. Major types of buying situations. We have a straight rebuy, order without any modifications. So these are what businesses buy from other businesses. Modified rebuy, they order with modifications, new task, first time order of a product, and then systems or solution selling. Order includes multiple elements. Participants in the business buying process. We have the buying center. Includes all individuals that participate in the purchase decision, not a fixed or formally identified unit, and size and makeup varies. So major influences on business buyer behavior. We have figure 6.7. Major influence on business buyer behavior. So the far left, there's a box that says environmental. Economic developments, supply conditions, technological change, political and regulatory developments, competitive developments, and culture and customs. And then going further to the right, organizational box. Objectives, policies, procedures, organizational structure, and systems. In the middle, there's a box. It says interpersonal, including authority, status, empathy, persuasiveness. And then we have individual in another box. Age, income, education, job position, personality, risk, attitudes. And then the last box says buyer. So all these factors go into the business buyer behavior. Influences, environmental, organizational, interpersonal, and individual. So check your understanding, to be or not to be. Though it is true that total revenue generated between businesses is greater than that of B2C, business to consumer, it is ultimately the demand of the end consumer which actually triggers demand back through the supply chain. This concept, known as derived demand, reminds us that no matter how big the orders between a steel plant and an auto manufacturer, it is the number of cars demanded by consumers which increases or decreases demand at the production level. This truth also connects us to the macroeconomic concepts of supply and demand and, in turn, recession and inflation. How is derived demand linked to economic expansion and contraction? Stages of the business buying process. So figure 6.8, at the top, we've got problem recognition, then general need description, then product specification, and then supplier search. Then we have proposal solicitation, then supplier selection, order routine specification, and lastly, a performance review. E-procurement and online purchasing. Online purchasing, which is called e-procurement, can be implemented in many ways. We have reverse auctions, trading exchanges, company buying sites, extranet links with key suppliers. E-procurement presents several benefits and problems. So, reviewing the concepts. 1. Understand the consumer market and major forces that influence consumer buyer behavior. 2. Identify and discuss the stages in the buyer decision process. 3. Describe the adoption and diffusion process for new products. 4. Define the business market and identify the major factors that influence business buyer behavior. And 5. List and define the steps in the business buying decision process. And that's the end of Chapter 6, Part 1 and Part 2. And get 100% on that test of yours. Thanks for listening and watching.